Hey guys, sorry for being missing. I'm back. I'm not gonna talk about anything else but this game. I was just coaching Seth, who is a Ren Master NA, and he plays Echo, basically an Echo one trick. And he sent me this guy. Now this is someone called Tryhard Echo, and I saw in Chaos's recent YouTube video, he was versing an Echo player, and I was like, wait, this might be the same guy. In this game, Chaos on the enemy team gets a pentakill and goes like 21-1 or something like that, and just hard carries a challenger game. We can see that this guy has 1000 LP. I think he's playing on a Smurf at the moment. And with Seth, who I was coaching at the time, I just went through the first 5-6 minutes of this game, and I think I pointed out a lot of useful things that will not only or would help this person if I ever got in contact with them or talk to them, but also you guys watching in terms of a little bit of macro, but a lot of micro as well, maybe a lot of both. So let's get into it. So in this game, he decides to start bot side, whether it's because it's an easier clear, maybe he doesn't want to get invaded like this by Talon, which is definitely real, because, well, especially Chaos anyway, does some weird clear where he goes like this, invades and takes your Krugs, and then he kind of like ease over and smites your red buff because he'll ward here. It's a very, very unique clear, but yeah, I don't want to get invaded by Talon on this side of the map, so I think the Echo starting bot side makes sense here. And it's a pretty quick clear as well. So none of this stuff is really going to decide your games, unless maybe you're playing in really high challenger, it might matter. But in this game, it's perfectly justified, right? So he's going to go Raptors, and we see that Chaos starts at Raptors. So Talon starts at his Raptors, Echo the same thing, right? Because the enemy Raptors are missing. So we know that Chaos here on Talon is going to go Raptors, red Krugs, just like any Talon player would. So he's going to be topside, right? And then he'll probably come back down, yeah? So if we play this a little bit, let's skip it 10 seconds, and then I'm going to skip it another 10 seconds, and then another 10 seconds. And we see here, while Echo is doing red buff, something happens here that it shouldn't always change the game, but you have to think a little bit differently here. So Chaos shows, doesn't use flash, and gets a free kill. Now, the useful thing about this, if you are playing as Echo here, is that you know that Chaos is a little bit delayed here in terms of getting to bot side of the map. So when Echo finishes red buff here, for instance, we can see that he is ahead of Talon in terms of being towards the bottom side of the map. So if I draw lines, I'm not sure if this is longitude or latitude, whatever you want to call it, but if I draw these lines like this, we can see that Talon's line is very different to Echo's. Now, this might equate to what, like maybe 7-8 seconds, which means that if Echo was to run straight bot, he would actually be able to 3v2 that lane before Talon really gets there. The other likelihood here is that Talon is just going to naturally kind of farm his walls, especially when his mid laner is low. Like this Yone, when Echo eventually looks there, is about 200 HP. So his mid laner, Talon, is cooked. So he can't really do anything in terms of this or this, right? Because it's unlikely he's ever going to like one-shot an Echo, right? So yeah. I also think Talon does have flash. I can't remember if he has Ignite or not. So I think he has flash on this game. But anyway, so the point I'm saying or making here is like when Talon does this and he delays his transition to his second quadrant by maybe 3-4 seconds, that gives 3-4 seconds to Echo now. And basically, because Talon has farmed his camps the same as Echo, but he's also got a kill on top of it, this Talon is essentially up 400 gold, right? So if I was playing as Echo here, I would do this. The reason I would do this is because I am ahead of Talon, and also, obviously I'm going bot lane because I can get kills, right? I'm not going there just because I 3v2. So I think this will be a 3v2. I don't think this Talon is going to anticipate this and run down like this, even though he kind of could, which I think would be very smart from Chaos. Like he could always, you know, kind of do his walls and be ready to move. He could also like danger ping here. But I would make this play because not only is it 3v2, but also we have kill pressure. We have an Alistair support. If you had Pyke, if you had Blitzcrank, any of these like engaged supports that are pretty reliable, Alistair's very, very reliable, of course, I would be looking to run bot lane here to kill the enemy AD carry. That's what I would do, just because we know it's the 3v2. We also know, when we look at the mini-map here, so if I just go back as well, so let's just play as we're Echo here. So we're going to auto, we're going to Q, look at minimap. We're going to auto, look at minimap. Auto, click back, look at minimap. And we can see the enemy bot laners push up, and then all of a sudden Kai'Sa goes missing. Now, the Kai'Sa here is running through Tribrush, so I'm guessing she's going to ward Tribrush, which she does, by the way. You guys can go and watch Chaos' point of view on YouTube. And the Kai'Sa as well also runs out of this Tribrush close to this terrain here, which basically means, like, she's running like this rather than like that, right? Obviously. So her ward is probably where she's just ran, which would be here. So if Echo clicked into River after red buff and tried to make something happen down here in the 3v2, I think it is definitely the best move. especially considering the Talon here is well ahead of him in terms of gold. So if Echo just clears his camps here, sometimes it can be the only play you make, by the way. Like the enemy bot lane, for instance, in another game might be under their tower full HP. So if Kai'Sa and Rel were under their tower full HP, there's literally nothing this Echo can do on this map apart from maybe dive mid. That's about it, right? Because I don't know if you guys saw before, but Yone is about 200 HP and very, very killable for... Oh, this guy's running Halo Blades, but yeah. He'll have Dark Harvest and Echo should easily be able to kill him. So that would be the only play he could make if the enemy bot lane was full HP, but they're pushed up here against an engage, ignite Alistar. And with Echo, it should be pretty easy to get a kill on whoever they focus there, right? It depends if, like, the Rel engages and just, like, you know, runs it down, you just kill her. You just get whatever's free, but obviously Kai'Sa would be better. Anyway, this Echo decides to do his camps, and I'm going to forward this again. So we're going to do walls. And by the way, one thing that really flies under the radar, it doesn't fly under mine, and I'm not like flexing or anything, but it doesn't because I just notice it, so I'm just being honest. But the way these top players clear on their champions, their micro, in terms of clearing camps, is 10 times better, and it is the biggest difference between this guy playing Echo compared to Seth, who I was coaching, or was the big difference. He's fixed it now, which is great. But it was and is the big difference between every other Echo player who isn't in, like, you know, high challenger. So a Grandmaster Echo probably isn't going to clear as well as this guy. A Master Echo definitely won't, and everyone below that is just, it just gets worse and worse, right? The lower you go. So don't just think, you know, I'm skipping over this and everyone clears, like, you know, this good on Echo. They don't. So if you're watching this and you're like gold in your champion or platinum, emerald, diamond, master, you guys do not clear camps as well as you should. Whether that's actually clearing the camp itself, but also leading the camp to your next play. So most people just clear the camp right in the position it's kind of in, which is bad. It's inefficient because you can do the same damage while moving towards your next play. So you'll see this a lot from higher level players. Now, after this Grub, his mid laner dies, which is, okay, it happens. And we see the Yone 1 HP. Now, I actually agree with him here hitting blue buff. The reason I agree with him hitting blue buff here is just because that Yone, there's such a good chance the Yone like runs off or even recalls because there's a fresh wave mid. So whenever you see this, you've got to ask yourself, is this person going to stay here based on a wave that's there or even tower plates? So if I was the Yone here, I would just insta-recall and TP back because it's so risky being here because obviously Echo just one-shots him. Like, there's nothing he can do, right? So if I was Echo here, I would probably run to blue and hit it. But when I see that guy Q the wave, that is when I would run there. So as soon as Yone Qs the wave like this, that is when I'm going to run mid because I would expect him here just to insta-base. So I know I said, like, I would hit blue. But until he Qs, that is. So when he Qs, it's telling me that he's going to stay here for a little bit. And also that guy might do something weird where he like recalls on the wave or something like that. So I would actually just run there and try to kill that guy. I also don't think he flashed though, which is like a little bit annoying. But Echo's, what do you call it, like E and stuff will always follow that person. So maybe it's difficult if Yone has flash, but he actually flashed there on the minimap. So again, if I was playing this live, I'm never going to miss that. So it'd be auto attack, click back, auto attack, click back, E, click back, whatever it is. Look at minimap. Auto attack, look at minimap. And we see the Yone flash there after Jace jumps on him. And if he doesn't know this, he should ask the Jace if that Yone has flash. And as soon as he hits the wave like that, it looks to me anyway, it's a bit of a lunatic move. Maybe he's trying to thin the wave out. Maybe he needs a little bit of gold for boots and, you know, a dagger or something. But I would actually start running mid right now after I see that and try to kill him. If he has flash, it's probably a different story, and going mid could be bad. That's very champion-specific to the champ you're playing. So if I'm playing Shaco there, for instance, I don't really think it changes much, but I think he should actually just run mid there, and he can easily kill the Yone because he doesn't have flash. The only thing to consider there when ganking a Yone specifically is his Q3. So is he going to stack his Q3 on the wave and then, you know, go back under his tower? That would make it more annoying for you. So again, you really have to know the champions you're playing against, and obviously your limits on your champion you're playing. But he decides to clear here, and we know Chaos is going to be bot side, right? So thankfully nothing is happening bot. He looks top, which is smart, just in case there's a gank on there before doing crab. And he does crab, makes sure everything hits, saves his E, doesn't need to use it right. And then he makes a play mid lane, which I think is correct. This Yone, by the way, stops his recall. So we know that this Yone, from before, he was really low, right? Showing on the wave. Now he's regened a little bit because of D-shield and whatever. So he's a little healthier, but this guy has no flash, and he's in Dark Harvest range. Like, this should just be a free kill for Echo, and he goes mid, which is definitely correct. The only thing to consider here is Talon, and he makes a very good ping here, because he's question marking, hey, there might be someone here. But in terms of 2v2, I actually think they win here, and I think he would have killed Chaos here as well, had his mechanics been better. Now, I don't know if the tryhard Echo guy was nervous here. I've certainly been nervous playing against certain players. I remember way back in the day, like when I Will Dominate was over in O's. I remember playing against like rank 1 multiple times. And you do feel something playing against them because it might be like the first time, or you know they're very good players, so you kind of, you're really getting tested how good you are. So it's definitely a real thing. So if that's the case, then no worries. But I'm just going to point out like the actual micro without the emotion, which might help. So when he goes mid here, it's definitely right to dive this person, yeah? Because he's so low and he looks so killable. Also, when Yone uses E here, this is like the most free thing ever. I also don't think he needs to ward that brush because I don't think Chaos is going to be there, like in the brush. If he's going to be somewhere, he'll probably be like where his ping is maybe. So I don't think he really needs to ward there. He could always save it. But anyway, it's fine. It's really beside the point. And he's got another one. In fact, it might even be good. But anyway, when Yone uses his E like this, we know he doesn't have flash, and you can also see that Jace was pinging his flash here. These are way too late, like these pings he should have pinged like straight away after the fight to help his jungler out. But we know Yone doesn't have flash, so when he E's like this, Echo's W is just perfect, right? It's on his E where he's going to reattach himself to, but Echo makes a mistake here. He E's over, which any of us would do, and he runs towards Yone's thing. But then he decides to flash, and I have no idea why. So let me play this again. We'll watch it in real time. So we're ganking mid. Here's the Yone. He should also ping on the way, just to let Jace know. He presses W. He should definitely ping on the way at some point during this. And he uses perfect W. He could even E him there, but I'm not sure if he would reattach to him here, or if he would just hit him in that position, and then he's got to run like that. So saving his E there was really smart, if that's what he was thinking. And now, it's like his E, we can see, is still active. I don't know how long that is, maybe a second and a half, but he decides to flash instead, which is really weird. I don't understand why he did this. Because if he has flash here, I think he kills Chaos. So Chaos is smart, and he knows that his mid laner is really low and vulnerable to getting dove, which is exactly what happens. Chaos shows up and kills the Jace, which kind of sucks. But to me, I look at this situation here, and I think the Echo is in the perfect position right here. And remember, he used flash. So if he has flash here, I think he kills Talon. So he's used his Q on him, which is perfect. And then the Echo decides to move, which I think is bad. Because he's in like the perfect position, I think, to block Chaos from eating over the wall. Like, honestly. And if he was really thinking about Talon, the Talon obviously wants to go like this, right? Anywhere from here over the wall. He's not going to go like this and down, right? That's ridiculous. Like, he's just going to die. So the Echo player here should stand north of him. Maybe in that position, if he's really going to kind of reposition, I guess, because at the moment he's in a nice position. And then he randomly clicks like kind of around the Talon and then down. And it's like, if he just stayed up here where he was, I think Chaos gets blocked and it will kill him. But even if that happens when he E's, if the Echo has flash here, he could literally just E, ward, E onto him. And then he always has flash if Chaos goes over here, right? But because he doesn't have flash here, it makes it very, very hard. And he's scared of dying to tower because Chaos is obviously smart. He might go like this and then E along this wall if he has it available. So without his flash here, it makes it basically impossible. And I agree with the Echo player here not going for it. It's too difficult. And he has red buff on him here. So therefore he cops a tower shot. So it's really, really hard for him there to kill Chaos. And also, like, Chaos might have Ease over this again, like I said, and over this. So if he has flash, he can do it. But without it, he misses a kill here. And I think he lives as well. Because he's got his W coming back up. He could put it somewhere, run through it for the shield. Maybe he has to suicide because Yone might chase him. But that's still obviously better for Echo than doing what he just did. So I think this was... Well, I don't even know why. Because, yeah, you'd have to ask this person. But I think that was just like kind of a big blunder, using flash like that. After this, pretty standard stuff. Both junglers are going to do their Raptors and Krugs, respectively, because both of them started there, so they just re-clear them. And Echo bases, which is definitely correct, because there's no kills bot lane. Alistair's, nowhere near it. And yeah, they're all going to be full HP and stuff. And our top camps this morning. So we're going to recall running a base. We get a really juicy buy. And in this position, like, the game is still up for grabs, really. It doesn't look that good, because top is kind of losing. Mid lane isn't in a great position. But the Echo is in a nice position here. Like, just speaking, from an Echo point of view or a weak early game jungler, this might be like me playing AP Shaco. If you're at a base like this, you're very, very happy you've had a good early game. Again, might not be perfect, which is what we've already looked at, but you're happy in this position, right? Now, he runs up here, and he pings on the way towards top lane, which I think is very smart. I like the ping on the way, because it's letting Gwen know, hey, I'm running top here. I also really like it because, again, whenever you ping on the way, or not ping on the way, sorry, but whenever you think of killing an enemy laner, you have to think about the enemy jungler, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm killing Fiora here, 2v1, woo! We know Talon here is doing Raptors, Krugs, and probably basing, right? Just like Echo just did. So I'm guessing Chaos now is like recalling and he's running out here. Now I know he isn't because I've watched the game. But even if he wasn't here, like I would still be happy fighting this, even if Talon is here. Why is that? Because Talon cannot be here with items. He's not going to base and run here and get here in time, right? That's impossible. I mean, I guess he could, but it's such a random move because his bot camps are up. So it's like, why would Talon run away from these camps? And he's almost hoping I gank this lane, which isn't guaranteed as well. So it's a really hopeful play if Talon recalls after his top camps and then runs back here. It's very, very weird. So if I'm the Echo player here, if I see Talon, if I don't see Talon, I am really looking to fight here, and all of a sudden Chaos shows. Now, obviously Talon cannot be here with items because he would be hacking. So we know this is a jungle item Talon. Yes, my Gwen doesn't have W, but my difference compared to Talon here is the Echo. Look at my items compared to jungle item Talon. It's massive. Look at my HP compared to Talon's. That's big as well. And Gwen is still kind of similar to Fiora. They're also not going to hit level 6 here because it's not the 530 wave. So in terms of 2v2, I think they win pretty easily. All Echo has to think about is his W and maybe, like using his E to evade Talon's W2. Obviously, he doesn't want to use his W when Fiora has a parry because he might get stunned and stuff. But again, he has his E to dodge these spells. So if I was Talon here, I'd be spam pinging on the way for the Gwen to fight. And I would be Eing over this wall here, running around, and just trying to engage. He's also got a ward, which is useful, right? He can put it in one of the brushes or in the alcove, depends where they are. And I think they hard win this 2v2. Again, you have to play it properly, by the way. It's not like you just run in there and go gung-ho, you just, throw your spells out. You have to be methodical about it and think about what can maybe get you killed there. And it's basically just Fiora W and Talon landing W2, right? Even as Echo, you have to know that if you throw your Q out, it has to be, when they're slowed or when you're right up next to them, so it's got a great chance of landing. These things like go without, are very, very important and, yeah, shouldn't go unnoticed. Your micro has to be clean on your champion. This is really good, by the way. Jace getting a kill like this, and this is really the fight that I think ends the game because someone who's as good as Chaos at Talon and jungling generally is going to snowball the game and just destroy people. So Echo doing grubs here, it's definitely the right move. Now, interestingly enough, the Echo is like moving towards bot side here, even though Chaos is... I guess Chaos is running out, but him covering mid here and just being aware is great. Again, these pings are really, really good. Then he decides to go to Grubs, thinking that Jace is safe, which I would assume he is as well. So I think going to Grubs here, this is all perfect, and he Qs the first Grub, this is all good, and I think he makes a massive mistake here. Let's play this game as if we're Echo. So we're going to auto-attack. Yeah, auto-attack the Grubs. He thinks he can do all the Grubs here, right? Which is natural, and I think I would be auto-attacking all of them as well. But when we're auto-attacking, we look at the minimap. When we auto-attack, we look at the minimap. And we see that Talon is ganking mid. Now, Talon here is level 6 as well, so it's a little bit scary to run into him, but the Jace here is actually doing a very good job in terms of pressuring the enemy mid and winning 1v1 pretty hard, but also pressuring Talon to gank him a lot. And I already think Echo should have killed the Talon once in the earlier gank, and I think he should kill him here as well, but he makes a massive mistake. The mistake is this. What's the mistake? You should be able to tell if I play it and just watch the fight and tell me what you would love to do if you were Echo right here. What would you love to press? You would love to press Q. But he Q'd a Grub for no reason. Is it true he can kill that Grub by just auto-attacking it and then smiting it, knowing that Talon is chasing Jace here? So this, honestly, probably just comes down to mini-mapping. I'm not sure if he was looking at it as much as he should have, but also just in terms of micro here. Echo's cooldowns get lower, of course, after like Nash's and the more AP you get, of course, but there's no AP. There's no haste here. So his cooldowns are real. If it says 8 seconds for your Q, it's 8 seconds. That's a long as time. So he should just auto-attack that Grub, one more, with Smite, and then run over. Because imagine if he has Q here. His W is perfect, by the way, because it's very, very hard for Chaos to escape this. Because he probably used his E on this wall. So Chaos, the Talon, he can't E over this now because he's already used it to chase Jace. So his W is actually great. And even Jace here knocking him into the W is really smart. But imagine if Echo had Q here. And that's all it is. That is literally the difference. Everything else is perfect. He E's onto him, but he's got no slow from his Q1. He can't land Q2 because he used his E. And of course, he should use his E there. And now he gets baited and dies to Chaos. His E just came off. Maybe he could have got it off, but again, I think he just dies because Chaos's Q, the Talon's Q would follow him, and he'd die anyway there. And yeah, that's basically a game. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Might even put it on YouTube. Don't be shy. Bye.